Uh, all right, folks. Let's talk about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott played well yesterday. He had 4 touchdown passes. The topic is Dak Prescott for MVP. Um, man, let's look at Dak Prescott's numbers throughout the season. Right now, if you look at Dak Prescott, according to these numbers that I checked here on StatMuse and also on Pro Football Reference, he's number one in touchdown passes. He's with 23 touchdowns. He's fourth in passing yards, nearly 3,000. He's second in completion percentage at 70%. Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers is above him. He's second in QBR, 75.4. Only Brock Purdy is above him. He's second in passer rating. Only Brock Purdy is above him. The past 5 games, he has thrown 17 touchdown passes to only 2 interceptions, a 70.6 completion percentage, throwing for over 1,600 yards, averaging 324 passing yards per game, as well as a 124.8 passer rating. So, look, Dak Prescott, the knock on him, unfortunately, is that he's had 3 losses. One against the Arizona Cardinals on the road, in which the Cardinals were a huge favorite. The Cowboys were a huge favorites to win that one, but they lost. Let's not forget the Sunday night football game against the 49ers, in which they got embarrassed, and at Lincoln Financial Field against the Philadelphia Eagles, in which Dak played great in that game, but unfortunately, they couldn't get the job done. So, Leaf, I'm going to let you go first. And also, too, Dallas, they got 6 games. I'm not saying Dak Prescott is the MVP, but he does have a chance because here are their next 6 games. They got Seattle this upcoming Thursday on Amazon Prime. They got Philly, Sunday Night Football. They got Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit. So you're talking about 5 televised games, nationally televised games, and they got Washington at Washington to end the season. So, Leaf, I'm going to let you go first. Should Dak belong in the MVP conversation? Yes or no?
With these numbers, he should belong in there because if we had used the cases for C.J. Stroud belonging in the MVP case when he was in it for the weeks that he put together and the weeks that he continues to put together. Um, Dak is playing pretty well this season, but even though it's the Cowboys, even though I know they're gonna shit the bed sometime soon. Dak is playing pretty well. I mean, I think this is probably been one of his best seasons thus far. Um, being top in a lot of these categories, man. I think definitely on the up and up. He's been a little bit more than manageable. Um, even with the injury that they had on defense earlier this year, I didn't really expect Denver to really. I mean, excuse me, Dallas to really to have the season that they're continuing to have, but they are though. I mean, they probably the third, flirting with the third or fourth best team in the NFC outside of I guess the competition right now is Detroit, the 49ers and the Eagles. But he should be in the MVP race. But then again, I won't be surprised if nobody at the quarterback position.
All right. Casual from the Hoopsters podcast. Casual, I told you I'm going to do football. What's up, man?
Oh no, I just can't just I could just say whatever OG says I agree with.
Thank you, Casual, as usual.
Of course, OG. Okay. All right, I'm out. Bye, guys.
All right, take it
All
easy,
right, have a
Casual. And go check him out. Go check out the Hoopsters podcast, man. Always a pleasure having Casual on, man. Another comment. Patrick, I already mentioned it. Deron Bland has been a godsend. Another Will McClay draft home run in 2022. Yes. I also mentioned that he broke the record for the most pick sixes. That was a big steal. Champ, you wanted to mention about Dak Prescott. You thought about doing a video on Dak Prescott for the MVP case. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. I think that he has a legitimate case, and it's not just because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. If you really look at it, and I'm looking at it right now, the Dallas Cowboys has averaged at least 33 points in each of their last home wins.
Mm-hmm. And they've been dominant At
and they
home.
have been dominant at home. So they have been dominant at home. And if you really look at it, outside of the Philadelphia Eagles, who's in their division, the NFC is pretty much wide open. There's really no, outside of really Philadelphia, there's no real clear cut team that's going to be coming out of the NFC that really scares us. So you have to think about that as well. I will say the Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles. Those are the only team that is really scary in the NFC. I don't think the Detroit Lions are, after this performance, I don't think they're up there as much as they were the prior weeks, which we had a conversation about that.
We
But
did.
by the numbers, by the numbers, should he be considered? Yes, but I'm gonna be very, very honest. I don't think the media is gonna let him, even if he leads the league in every statistical category. Basically, because of what him and the Cowboys have proven to us in the past, he's not going to go very far in the playoffs.
Mm.
And not to mention, you have to ask yourself this: is this? They know this is not the true Dak Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
They know Dak Prescott can be the turnover machine. If you really look at some of those wins that he's had, they've been against fairly mediocre teams. They've been against fairly mediocre teams. They weren't able to beat the 49ers. Although they played well against the Philadelphia Eagles, they weren't able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. The teams that they've scored a lot against were the New York Giants, the New York Jets, the Patriots, the Rams, the Giants, and the Panthers, not to mention the Commanders. None of those teams are going anywhere fast if you really want to be honest about it.
Okay.
So they're not, and he's not going up against any top 5 defenses anytime soon other than the Philadelphia Eagles. So
Mm-hmm.
will they give it to him? I doubt it, because they basically know that this is not the real Black Dak Prescott. Once he get into those playoffs and those lights shine brightly, he'll fold up like an accordion.
Mm. So, Champ, who is your MVP at this moment? You could argue Jalen Hurts. You could argue, I mean, I would love to see Tyreek Hill win it, but they're not going to give it to a non-quarterback. CJ, I would love to see CJ win it because I raved that he was going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And the Texans, they've played well. I think he's the clear-cut favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. D'Amico Ryans can make the case for Coach of the Year, but they're not going to give it to a rookie. So, who do you think it should be?
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Right now, he has 16 touchdowns, and he's on pace to have a Priest Holmes type of year. Not only that, he's scheduled to go for over 2,000 yards from scrimmage if he keeps this pace up right. And if you look at those 3 losses, and I think I pointed this out in the video I made earlier, each time he touches the ball for 20 times or more, the 49ers win.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 games, when they lost 3 straight, he didn't touch the ball. He touched the ball each time under 20 times. Each time that he touched the ball over 20 times in those games, the San Francisco 49ers have come out with a win.
Mm-hmm.
So he's essentially become the Marshall. Remember how unstoppable the St. Louis Rams were when Marshall Faulk would get the ball? Each time he rushed for the
Absolutely.
100 yards and touched the ball over 20 times, the Rams won the game. That's essentially what Christian McCaffrey has become to the San Francisco 49ers this year. You want to win the ball? You want to win the ball game? Give Christian McCaffrey the ball 20 times, especially with that zone blocking offense.
Mm-hmm. We got my man Brandon from the block. Brandon, what's up, dog? How you doing, man?
Yo, what up? What up? Doing good.
Good, man. We just talking about MVP. Um, do you think Dak Prescott should be the favorite to win the MVP, or if not, who do you have winning the MVP?
I think he, I think he's in the conversation. Um,
Okay, in the conversation.
but people gonna say that he ain't an MVP candidate and all this type stuff because he's Dak.
Okay. Yeah.
But hey, But yeah, he deserves to be in there. He been balling this year. He
Who is
playing
your
like
MVP?
I know Leaf ain't gonna like this, but he playing like a top 10 quarterback, bro. Not even gonna lie, bro. Like no, it's no
No, Leaf
like
gave
you
him
can't.
his no. Leaf gave him his credit. He gave him
Oh,
his
okay.
due.
Mhm.
But who's your
I
MVP,
definitely did
Brandon?
give him his due, unwillingly, but I definitely had to give him his due, knowing that this is probably not the real Dak Prescott, but it is the Dak Prescott that we're seeing right now. Dak Prescott performing the way that he's performing just basically speaks to the quarterback play as a whole this year. It's been mid tier at best. I think we've all discussed that. Not just on this channel, but on Brandon's channel as well.
Mhm.
Um, Tyreek Hill, I would like for Tyreek Hill to be the MVP, but I think narrative and a lot of the quote unquote quarterback award is going to play into that. So we just got to see.
Leaf, we can't hear you, dog.
Get that
Mhm.
Hawk out there
My
on him,
bad,
bro.
my bad. I'm in the street right now, but
Is it raining out there? Shit,
no,
damn.
no, no, it's windy. It's windy.
Just that
Oh,
Hawk, man.
Yeah, it's windy. Yeah. I'm about to get in the car in a second, but I
all
think
right,
Tyreek Hill should get it, man. He's due.
all right,
My
all
my
right.
MVP is Lamar.
Mm, I would love to give it to Lamar, but let's not forget, man. We can't ignore the Cleveland game. We can't ignore that, and I don't know if he's been putting up the numbers. Champ, what do you say about that, man?
I don't think he's been putting up the numbers right about now. I mean, if you really want to make the case, Dak has been putting up better numbers. Like I said, the MVP is going to be a basically if they you can put Dak Prescott up there as far as the MVP candidacy is concerned because he has the numbers to back him up. But like I said, at the same time, the voters know that he's not. This is not the real Dak Prescott. As far as Lamar Jackson is concerned, right now he's 13th in the league in passing yards. So you really want to call? Do we really want to call that the MVP numbers right about now? I don't think so. But I will say this, like I said, they know this is not the real Dak Prescott. And if they give him the MVP, this is probably going to be the earliest MVP exit from the playoffs probably ever. So I don't even think. And also, it's going to be depend. It's going to really depend on who they play in the first round of the playoffs as well, because they are. We already know that the Dallas Cowboys are not going to win in that division.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're going to have to go outside. They're going to have to play 4 games on the road, and I don't see they're going to have to play 3 games on the road. Excuse me, and I don't see them winning any of those games on the road at this point, especially with especially with them not playing in the friendly confines of Jerry World. But like I
Right.
said, I don't. I think even if he ends up leading the league in passing in every statistical category, it will probably go to someone else because they're going to say this is the real Dak Prescott.
Right. Some you can make an argument for Jalen Hurts, even though that
Oh,
he's been struggling taking care of the football. The Eagles are still 9-1. They've
Mm-hmm.
beaten teams like the Dolphins. They beat the Chiefs at Monday Night Football after coming back from a 10-point deficit. His only bad game was, of course, the game and they lost against the New York Jets, in which he was awful in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And
If
also, you
Jalen
have the
Hurts
fact that
even sniffed this award, bro, like all hell is gonna break loose. All hell is gonna break loose
But I
because
don't
this
think,
is
but Leaf, I don't think they're gonna be mad at that because last year he was on pace to win the MVP before the injury, and then
right.
Mahomes won it. So, and you mentioned this quarterback play, it hasn't been great. Patrick Mahomes has been struggling, and that's because of the wide receivers. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Champ, the Chiefs they have the most drop passes in the NFL at this point, if I'm not mistaken, or they're amongst one of the
Yeah.
worst the teams with the drop passes. You saw that on full display against the Eagles Monday night,
mm-hmm.
especially with Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the other quarterbacks. Lamar's not putting up crazy spectacular numbers, and also too the defense with Baltimore, they've been dominant all season long. So it's really tough to say, but I would love to see C-Mac or Tyreek win it, especially Tyreek because what he's about to do, he's on pace to get 2K. So, and I give Trey a lot of credit from Player's Choice, and also he was on his brother's podcast, Trent. Flag on the play. Go check him out. Like and subscribe. He said, if you're not going to give it to Tyreek, given what he's about to do is unprecedented, then you're doing the NFL, you're doing us a huge disservice. So I think what Tyreek has been doing, I would love to see him win it, but unfortunately, it's going to be a quarterback award. So I don't know, but
I don't know.
unfortunately,
Maybe the tide might change this year. It's a possibility. I mean,
hope so.
like
I hope so. I mean, because the last person to win the MVP that was a non-quarterback, you got to go
AP.
back to Adrian Peterson back in
Yeah,
2012,
right.
and
And
then
I think CMC's case is very strong as well, with the 49ers still hanging afloat. And even after the skid that they had, but his case is still pretty strong. I think him and Tyreek Hill. I think that I don't think they can easily be ignored this year, man. But we got to see what type of votes and what type of bias and what type of unbiased that we're gonna get this year from the voting tree. So
one last thing before I move on to unfortunately Brandon Seahawks. Patrick Brown said, if Jalen Hurts wins it, I'm gonna be pissed off. A Cowboy fan. I'll never hear the end of it. I can't phantom an Eagles player winning anything, even though years before they won a Super Bowl. But
yeah, and Nick Foles won Super Bowl MVP. Yeah.